Welcome back everyone, and if you're new here, welcome to the latest update to all the news and information from the Star Citizen universe from the past week. I'm DarkHour717, and as we get closer to Citizencon 2952, the amount of new information is really slowing down. That's honestly to be expected, as Citizencon is a huge source of information and new announcements. And we will get more into Citizencon later in this update. Before we get into everything else though, if you enjoy these updates, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button to help get the video out to more people. I really appreciate it, and just want to say thank you to all of you that have already subscribed. Currently, we are still moving through patch 3.17.2 and waiting with anticipation for patch 3.18 to hit the Evocati. While originally expected to be in the hands of Evocati before the end of September, that deadline has reached us, and while over the past week there was word of getting ever closer to a release, it turned out that builds had failed and could not be released to Evocati. Evocati have received a 3.17.3 PTU patch to test server crashes and loot tables. The patch notes for this do indicate that the testing focus is to check on the fixes of a couple of server crash fixes and gather data on some balance changes done to the contents of lootable containers throughout the PU, and are looking for analytical data for all items found or looted from containers to see if changes are working as intended, along with testing general stability as well. They have also implemented a fix to a back-end service crash that was causing the 16,008 error that a lot of players were seeing. Other items that are coming out of the patch are signs of a ghoulish green herald and mule paint, as well as the Vandal horror mask being found in many loot boxes throughout Stanton, though no solid confirmation on those two items as of yet. So if 3.18 has not hit the Evocati yet, what if any effect will that really have on the patch in general when it comes to IAE and its release to live to include this massive yearly event? To be honest, currently I would not be too concerned, as it was stated by Jared, they are aiming for a mid-November 3.18 release. This was stated in the newest Insight Star Citizen, even though CIG is trying not to set dates in stone and keep people aware that these are targets and not exact dates due to the fact that game development can be unpredictable. Though with the roadmap roundup this week, we do see two items get flipped to committed for the 3.18 patch, and this includes the PTV buggy racing and the Daymar crash sites that we saw in a previous Insight Star Citizen. In the scope of everything that is actually slated for patch 3.18, these are really fairly small items, especially when there is yet to be an Evocati build released yet. Although Jake Acapella also took to Reddit to post a statement in regard to the roadmap, and in that he stated, "We wanted to give a quick update on the current status of 3.18, as we're all eagerly awaiting the first build to be released to Evocati. We've been testing heavily with our internal QA groups across our studios with great results. With a quick turnaround on bugs being tracked down during general server behavior, we are working on fixing a couple of recently discovered low-level network bugs causing instability in the game's server to entity graph communication, which in turn can cause a large array of additional issues that are only exacerbated with additional players. Therefore, until we get these last few issues sorted out, it will be hard to utilize the valuable feedback we typically get from Evocati. We greatly appreciate your patience as we get through this process. Persistent entity streaming is a massive technological endeavor, and we thank all of you for bearing with us. The Evocati release is being evaluated daily and will update once we're ready for prime time." Now, we know that there are major features coming in with patch 3.18, which includes the cargo refactor, the tier 0 salvage gameplay, and persistent entity streaming, or PES as it's referred to, being the most major of the items. In all honesty, with the new features coming, I would definitely be more in the camp of please don't rush it, and would rather see them take the time needed to make things as smooth as possible. And to be honest, even with doing so, I think we'll all need to be prepared for the fact that with the scale of changes coming, that no matter what, we should expect an increase in bugs as well as a less stable gameplay, as this is a major step in the development. I think at this time, most backers are anxiously awaiting to see what happens with the release to Evocati and when it actually is pushed out there. With Citizencon centered all around 4.0 and the journey to Pyro, I expect that we may also see some information on 3.18, though not really expecting Citizencon to be heavily laden with new information. The focus of Citizencon really tends to be further out to the future than just the very next patch release. What we do know though, of course, is that there will be a digital goodies pack And taking a look at what we'll be getting, it consists of a Francis the Party Whale plushie, as well as a Frontier jumpsuit and a Frontier bearing grenade launcher. The new weapon and clothing item will be released with 318, of course, and Citizencon is set to be very informative, and the most popular panel, of course, is the ships panel, and no word yet on what we may see or hear in this segment of Citizencon. But if history repeats itself, do not be surprised to see at least a new concept or a straight to flyable, or possibly one of each, just as we saw last year. Though not a whole lot else has come out in regard to Citizencon, we are now only a week away from the event, and I will definitely be glued to the stream as we learn all of the new information through each panel. You can also join us on Twitch as we view and have commentary through all the panels, and give us your thoughts in chat as well. Stream's going to start at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch on Saturday, October 8th. We've heard some other items that are coming out of the Bar Citizen Tour as well, and this information comes from the Q&A at the event. Of course, it is known new servers will be coming online for Asia in the future, as well as support for payment methods in this region. As well as news that 400 and 500 million backing fund rewards will be coming, though they have not begun development yet. No word on what they're actually going to be. There will be future work on the concierge level and rewards, but no information yet as to what those changes are going to be either. And as far as an update on other news information, with some disappointment, we have not seen the jump point this month. And that is because it has gone bi-monthly. Disappointing, since it usually shows off the latest subscriber flare coming, and usually released just before the end of the month. The digital magazine is a welcome source of information that covers in-depth stories as to design, development, as well as lore, and gives a peek at the future flare that we get the following month. So we will unfortunately not see the jump point until end of October. In other news out there, there's a posting in Spectrum in regard to the Atmos Esports Babbage Bash. This will be an unofficial Citizencon after party where players and devs will participate in a race over the ice at New Babbage. To watch this event, visit the Atmos Esports Twitch channel after the end of Citizencon. Other updates within Spectrum have introduced the Twitch integration that will allow a notification to go into Spectrum when you go live on Twitch. Though originally set up incorrectly, it appears that they've got that activation all set and working properly now, and you can announce to all of Spectrum when you start your stream. This of course brings us to the usual news we receive weekly. As usual, we see the Galactopedia update, and we see a combination of one feature-length article with 20 short articles. The feature length is on Hitbox, the gaming magazine of the verse that is published by C&K Publishing. The story tells the history and creation and subsequent pickup of the magazine by C&K. The short stories do cover a variety of different topics such as the Nexus system, the Odin system, and the Redder system. I recommend any lore-loving citizen check these out. Of course, we already mentioned the roadmap roundup with the PTV buggy tracks and Daymar Rec sites being shifted to committed, which then brings us to the latest inside Star Citizen. And in this week's episode, we take a look back at all that was covered over quarter 3. Jared goes in on updates on all the topics that were covered over the last quarter, and it starts with the rivers. And these are absolutely freaking amazing. We now see cliffs with improved visuals to really give it a new look. This, along with improvements on how the rivers are laid out, make this even more exciting to see in game. We then see an update on the recently committed buggy track racing, with refining the railing system to keep people on the track, as well as keeping them from getting off the track to take shortcuts that were not intended. We also learned that the PTVs will be provided, and you will not have to worry about bringing one of your own. Then we get to the Korea update and its redesign, and we find out that a Crime Stat 1 and a Crime Stat 2 will no longer keep you from landing at a station, and you'll be able to just pay it off. Also, a new system that allows you to surrender and receive a 20% discount for doing so on your time served. As far as Klesher, we found out that HC Vertigo has figured out who the missions will come from in prison, as well as the new AI actions and the inclusion of the Black Spot. This will be a new location that you can find to get the missions within the prison. Then we see the Daymar crash site, another committed new feature. Difficulty on the missions were tweaked as it was found to be too easy. And with a variety of different missions available, these are going to be a new exciting location. Which brings us to the new uses for the Siege of Orison Islands. These will be new missions taking you through the area to take on different enemies and targets, which making use of this area outside of the dynamic event will be very fun. This leads us into the salvage update, which then they show that tier 0 salvage will not see many differences dependent on your ship, though when tier 1 comes in, this will eventually bring the grinder on the reclaimer to a working status and give it a real differentiation from the vulture. They also go in to discuss the repair capabilities of the salvage repair and that it will restore some health but will not fix components or replace entire structures, and will mostly be cosmetic with some health increases. They also go into the fact that there will be spawn-in fresh derelicts throughout the verse in different areas like asteroid clusters and such that will allow you to scan, find, and salvage the wrecks. These are all great new updates and is making 3.18 even more promising with the adjustments and new changes, and I am really looking forward to getting in and trying these all out. Finally this week we see the latest in Star Citizen Live, the Bot Whisperer. This is a talk with Francesco Riccucci, the AI director. Starting out with the explanation of how the AI team works and integrates and works with multiple different teams, they touch base on the scope of how in-depth the AI team really is, diving deep into what the AI team handles as well as how they are key in the development. They also talk about the difference in the performance of the AI between internal testing and when they hit the PU, as well as why it sometimes feels as if the AI is cheating. I will admit this was a little bit more difficult for me to stay on topic and pay attention, but I would definitely recommend it for anyone really into game development and all the aspects that go into building a game. Also remember, this marks the last episodes for the quarter for both Star Citizen Live as well as Inside Star Citizen as they go on break. But make sure to tune in for Citizencon and all its panels as Jared stresses that there are big things coming. And that's really about it for the week. I hope you found it interesting and leave a comment as to what you think. Also, what are you looking most forward to with Citizencon? If you'd like to help support the channel though, make sure to check out the merch store or just hit that join button above for a membership as low as 99 cents per month. And join us every Thursday here on YouTube as we stream our experiences in the Star Citizen universe. Or you can join us on Twitch on Tuesdays and Sundays. All streams start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I want to say thank you again to everyone for being here, and please be safe out there, and we will see you in the verse.